My name is Drew, and if we haven't met before, welcome to ReadyBudgetGo. If this isn't your first visit, welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you're here. This is My Money Relaunch, a series where I talk about things I've learned as I dug myself out of debt for the second time and started gaining control over my finances. Before we go into today's topic, there are a couple things I need to cover. First, I'm not a financial advisor. This series is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Before making any moves with your money, do your own research and seek your own counsel. Second, while I'm talking, I'll be putting down stickers in this paint by sticker book. For each sticker I place, I will save $5 toward one of my big goals. This week's target is 50 stickers for $250 in savings. Now that my emergency fund is fully funded, for this week and the next several weeks, I will continue stockpiling money toward the big move, which funds my relocation across the country this spring. This week, I want to talk about taxes, specifically federal income tax, since it is tax filing season, and I'm going to avoid the topic of state and local income tax, as jurisdictions vary widely in what is required of taxpayers. Also, the tax system in the United States is a Kafkaesque hellscape, and I'm unqualified to dispense advice on anyone's specific tax situation. But there are some generalities that apply to everyone that are important to note, and those are what I want to cover here. The deadline for filing with the IRS is fast approaching. Only about 3 weeks remain until the April 15th cutoff. If you haven't started working on your taxes yet, or if you worry whether you will finish them in time, it may not be a bad idea to consider filing Form 4868. This will automatically grant you a 6-month extension with the IRS in which to complete your other forms, but be warned that this is only an extension of the time you have to file your taxes. You are still required to pay any tax you owe by April 15th. If you're unsure whether you have had enough taxes withheld, you can submit an additional payment by going to the IRS Direct Pay website. If you end up overpaying, you will get any excess back as a refund when you do eventually file your taxes, and you will avoid an underpayment penalty. If you find yourself lost amid the Byzantine system of rules, forms, and procedures, there are places you can turn to for help. Of course, going to the IRS directly is one way, but with government budget cuts and this being the busiest time of year, you may end up on hold or in line for a long time before you get your questions answered. One place that is a great resource in any community is your local library. They should be able to point you to someone who is qualified to assist you with your situation. If you've already attempted to get your question answered with the IRS, a librarian can refer you to a tax advocate or an enrolled agent or other professional whose purpose is to assist taxpayers. Some libraries partner with civic organizations or other groups to provide tax preparation and filing services for free, as a community service. You may have to meet certain income requirements or age requirements to qualify, and these groups may not be able to assist with overly complex returns or certain schedules or forms. But if your return is fairly straightforward, they are often ready to help. Note that many times these require an appointment, and appointments will book up faster and faster as April 15th approaches. If you find yourself in a situation where you owe a significant amount of money to the IRS, whatever significant means to you, consider adjusting your tax withholding so that you do not find yourself in the same position next year. If you work for an employer, this can be done by submitting a new W-4 form, and your personnel or HR department should be able to assist with that. If you do not earn wage or salary income from an employer, you can still make periodic tax payments to the IRS throughout the year to ensure you do not come up short when it is time to file. Similarly, if you are due to receive a huge refund from the IRS, consider lowering your withholdings. Using the IRS as a sinking fund means you are foregoing the interest that money could have earned in a high-yield savings account. Most high-yield accounts pay interest rates north of 3% currently. By giving the government an interest-free loan by holding your excess tax payments all year, you are leaving money on the table. One thing that recent experience has shown me is the importance of making sure that you have all your documents in place before you start working on your taxes. Remember that people in businesses who send you a W-2 or a 1099 also send one to the government, so the IRS knows more about your tax forms than perhaps you do. I got myself into a real pickle because a creditor had sent a 1099 to the IRS for 2023, and I didn't know it. They didn't have my current address, so it was likely returned to them when they tried to mail it to me. This year, the IRS came knocking, wondering why I hadn't included that form in my earlier return, and wanting back taxes, penalties, and interest. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you know all the scary details. I of course paid it right away, primarily out of a sense of civic responsibility, but also because the IRS has broad powers to collect unpaid taxes, and I did not want to entertain any of those outcomes. There likely isn't much I could have done to prevent this, as I didn't know I was due a 1099. But one thing you can do is pull up your IRS transcripts. That file will show everything the IRS has received for a specific tax year for you. It is not always up to date for the most recent tax year, but you can check throughout the year to ensure that you have accounted for all the documents you were supposed to, and file an amended return if necessary. Had I done this, I still would have had a hefty tax bill and some penalties, but I would have prevented interest from accumulating and a nasty surprise from the IRS falling out of the clear blue sky years later. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, you can still contribute to a Roth IRA for 2025 up until the April 15th tax deadline. If you did not fully fund your Roth IRA last year and you qualify to do so, now is a great time to plow as much money into it as you can. If you are nervous about whether or how to invest the money, that's okay. If you just contribute it to your Roth IRA, most brokerages will leave the money in a cash account, which is sometimes also known as a sweep account. It will accrue interest at the money market rates. These rates tend to be similar to what the money would earn in a high-yield savings account. You can always decide to invest later, though in my opinion, there are a lot of investments that are currently on deep discount due to uncertainty and disruption in global trade, and when the markets come back, those who had the constitution to invest when the markets were falling will be rewarded. Again, that is only my opinion, and if you do decide to invest, you should do so in concert with what is best for your peace of mind and your goals, not mine. Okay, that's all for this week. Next week, I want to talk about budgeting, which is a favorite topic of mine. I just completed my April budget, and I was able to do the whole thing in about 15 minutes. When I first started planning my finances about a year and a half ago, setting up the budget each month took a couple of hours. It was a tedious task at first, but over time it's gotten to be where I can nearly do it in the dark, well blindfolded, and with one hand tied behind my back. I'll go into how budgeting has changed not only my outlook on money, but on my life as well. As a young man, I saw money as a means to acquire stuff and experiences. Now that I'm in my mid-40s, I see it as the means to purchase something far more valuable in my freedom and my independence. I hope you'll join me then. For now, if you enjoyed this episode of My Money Relaunch, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until I see you in the next one, take care.